So we're talking about a condition today that Dr. Emily Cooper calls an emergency. She's from the Diabetes-It Research Foundation and the author of The Metabolic Storm.
It's good to have you here.
Thanks for having me here.
We're going to talk about type 2 diabetes in just a second, but I think we don't know as much about prediabetes.
Right.
What is prediabetes and why should we be concerned about it?
Well, prediabetes is really the focus of what we really want to talk about, but it's shocking that nearly half of adults in the U.S. currently has prediabetes or full-blown type 2 diabetes. And what's even more shocking is 90% of people with prediabetes don't even know they have it in spite of regular medical checkups. And if left untreated, a third of the cases of prediabetes will progress within 5 years to full-blown diabetes. And we know diabetes is a devastating disease, and we're talking about type 2 diabetes. Prediabetes progresses to type 2, and once you have full-blown diabetes, that is associated with kidney disease, cardiovascular disease, potential amputations, potential blindness. So it really is critical to catch this when it's in the early stages. So type 2 diabetes, you can actually catch when it's prediabetes. Type 1, that's a totally different disease. That is a completely different disease that is not preventable.
Right.
Let's talk about what is prediabetes. I mean, what defines it?
Well, the main thing is that the real unfortunate thing is prediabetes is a situation where your blood sugar is elevated, and it's a silent condition with really no associated symptoms. So the screening that we have is really not widespread enough. And in fact, there's a recent study that showed that if doctors follow the recommended guidelines, 55% of people who are affected would actually be missed, never screened at all. So it's really important to know your numbers and be your own advocate. And so I think we have a graphic that shows the numbers, but if your blood sugar is between 100 and 125, that's prediabetes. It should be under 100. If it's 126 or higher, that's full-blown diabetes. And there's a screening test that measures your average glucose, which is called HbA1c. That number should be below 5.7. If it's 5.7 to 6.4, that's prediabetes. 6.5 is full-blown diabetes. So it's really important to know these numbers.
Okay.
Does everyone get their blood sugar tested at a regular doctor's appointment?
That's a great question. Again, because the screening is, if doctors follow the recommendations, you may not be screened.
Right.
And the guidelines focus on high body weight adults who have certain risk factors. So if you don't fall within those categories, you may not be screened at all. But you can really have diabetes or prediabetes at any weight, and even if you have an impeccable lifestyle. If you're a serious athlete, you can still have prediabetes. Wow. So, and children are experiencing prediabetes at a higher rate. So if there's a family history of diabetes or gestational diabetes, it's really important for kids to start being screened from 10 years and up. So prediabetes is not ever a situation that is a wait-and-see situation. It's always an emergency.
So you know that I was pre-diabetic.
Yes.
And my own family doctor was never really ever concerned because he said, you know, blood sugar's a little high, weight's a little high, blood pressure's a little high, but didn't really look at the big trajectory. And you looked at it and said, oh my gosh. And
yes.
Now with medication, everything is just completely
That's the point, that
zero.
lifestyle is usually the common approach that's recommended, nutrition and exercise. And those are really important strategies. But often they're not powerful enough to prevent the progression to full-blown diabetes or to reverse prediabetes. But fortunately, there are medications that are beneficial that actually can prevent the progression to type 2 diabetes and can reverse prediabetes. So we really need to talk to your doctor about screening. And if you screen negative, don't wait many years to be rescreened. Make sure you keep up your screening. If you screen positive, take it to be an emergency and make sure you're not progressing to full-blown diabetes. And the screening tests are inexpensive and simple to do. And they're even available at sometimes workplace or pharmacies if you can't get it done at your physician's office.
Okay.
Just got to ask for
Yeah.
it. This is great information.
You do.
Dr. Emily Cooper, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, we'll see you next time.